Finally, we managed to get our hands on the ROG Zephyrus M16. And if it's not clear to you why we've been so hyped about this product, then guys, just look at this. Look at how polished and how well made and just how light it is. I mean, we reviewed the Zephyrus M15 last year and we were already impressed, but the M16 is so much better. If you look at this cover, it has this very nice matte finish with this printed holographic design that changes as you move with the light. And we now also get this Republic of Gamers tag at the bottom left portion. The rear vents still carry that industrial edgy look that reminds us of a sports car or like a plane. And overall, it is just very well designed and very well done. And it's not just about the design. It also has that power and of course that portability, as I mentioned earlier, that makes it a very, very attractive machine, especially for creators or content creators like us, as well as gamers, and maybe a bit of both. So if you're like someone who needs a machine that's going to be able to satisfy your productivity needs and be able to game at the same time, the Zephyrus M16 hits those two main selling points that we are looking for. Now, why is this balancing act between power and portability so important, and why is this one of the key factors that we think makes the Zephyrus M16 a very, very attractive product? Think of it this way. In order for a car to run faster, it's going to have to burn more fuel. And in the case of a computer or a laptop, it's going to need to consume more electricity in order to drive and get more performance. On the flip side, that is going to generate a lot of heat. So in a machine like this, which is very compact and has this very, very small form factor, heat or thermal management becomes even more important. For example, the Zephyrus M16 has at least 6 heat pipes and it has a bunch of fans inside in order to dissipate and reduce the amount of heat that it generates. If you've seen one of those NVIDIA RTX 30 series GPUs, you know how big those can be, how large the fans and the heat sinks are on those things. It's gigantic and it's one of the biggest discrete GPUs that you can get. And imagine fitting all that into this very, very small form factor. What's amazing about the Zephyrus M16 is that ASUS engineers were able to find a way to keep the heat and to manage the heat and keep it cool, keep the machine running cool in order for the system to be more stable. So we did test the temperatures while it's running on, say, silent mode, which is the lowest power mode. The surface area, like this keyboard section, still went as high as around 30 degrees. And right now, the system temperature, I don't know if you can see it, reads at 56 degrees Celsius. And the back portion right here rarely goes below 40 degrees. It averages around 45 degrees Celsius to even as high as 48 or 49 degrees. It generates a lot of heat, but at the same time, it is able to deliver that desktop level performance that we are looking for. And that is probably the entire point of getting a beast like the ROG Zephyrus M16. You want to be able to take that desktop, shrink it down, and bring it with you anywhere you go. As for benchmarks, we managed to get really good frame rates above 60 FPS most of the time with the latest RTX games such as Doom Eternal, Tomb Raider, Marvel's Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, Quake 2 RTX, and Minecraft RTX is slightly more demanding because of the implementation. We average around 45 FPS, which is still good. Now, it's not just the CPU. You also have to consider the screen. And on this machine, you have this gorgeous 16-inch display, which is up from 15 0.6 from the Zephyrus M15. And what's amazing is that it actually shrunk in terms of the total surface area by just a fraction, but still, it's a big accomplishment that they were able to increase the screen size while at the same time managing to keep the entire chassis and the entire form factor still very, very compact. Now, for gamers, the quality of that screen may not be as important as, say, the frame rate that you're getting out of your machine. But if you are also creative or if you do graphic or video work, the image quality or the picture quality is a critical factor to consider. And on the M16, we have a 100% Pantone certified display, which means that you can use it out of the box and expect to get somewhat accurate colors without having to do any additional calibration. But what's nice about the ROG Armory this year is that it also comes with a tool that has native integration with X-Rite's i1 Display Pro if you happen to be one of those who really need a well-calibrated display. And on top of that, this is a very high resolution panel. It runs at native resolution of 2500 by 1600. And you also get very, very high refresh rate at 165 hertz. The response time on this display panel is very low. It's only 3 milliseconds, and it supports adaptive synchronization. So for those of you who want very good, vertical syncing in order to eliminate screen tearing when you play your games at higher refresh rates, then this is something that you'll definitely appreciate if you intend to game on just the built-in display of this laptop. By the way, the anti-glare coating on this laptop is not too bad at all. I don't know if you guys can notice it. We're not getting that as much reflections as, say, a display panel that doesn't have anti-glare coating, and the glare or the reflections are diffused. So it's not going to be as distracting. And on the Zephyrus M16, we are getting a 90 watt hour battery, which is rated to last 10 hours for typical usage. But of course, if you're going to be gaming, don't expect to get 10 hours. That depends on how heavily you're using the machine. If you're going to be using it to play games and you're always on the maximum performance mode, then expect battery life to drop down to around 1 to 2 hours tops for heavy gaming sessions. One of the things that we appreciate about the M16 is that it'll automatically throttle or limit the amount of power that the entire system consumes when it is running on batteries. So it's going to cap the frame rate of the games that you're playing at 30 FPS, which is not bad. It's still smooth. It's just not as smooth as, say, 60 or 100 FPS, but you're going to be getting better battery life out of it. Also has a built-in MUX switch or a multiplexer switch, which allows you to completely disable the discrete GPU so that you don't accidentally enable it or consume more power if battery life is a huge concern. Let's say you're just going to be using it for productivity. Now, while it is very impressive that we are able to achieve so much in such a small footprint, this comes at a cost with an RTX 3060 GPU, an i7, 16 gigs of RAM, and 1 terabytes of internal storage is going to set you back by 129,000 Philippine pesos. And that is already down from its original SRP from last year. Now, if you have more budget, you can go all the way to 159,000 pesos. And for that price, you're going to get an i9 with a RTX 3070 GPU, 32 gigs of RAM, and 2 terabytes of storage. Now, to be fair, if you've done your research, then you know that you can get an RTX laptop for a lot less. One example would be the Tough gaming line, which is also from Asus. It's a very, very well-made line of gaming laptops. But there are some compromises in terms of display. Of course, the finish and the overall build quality is not going to be as good as the Zephyrus M16. It's not as compact. And the thing about the ROG Zephyrus line is that you simply get the works, like all the nice bells and whistles that you would look for from a desktop, you would get in this ultra compact and ultra portable form factor. This includes backlit keyboard with R-Sync, Wi-Fi 6E, Thunderbolt 4, and you even get this, 6 speakers. You get 4 subwoofers and 2 tweeters. Wow, the sound on this machine is really good. I wish I could say the same for the webcam, but the webcam is absolutely forgettable. I still like the fact that they managed to fit a webcam here, but it's not like the microphone that has its own hardware toggle that allows you to physically disable access to the mic. You can't physically disable the webcam, and there's no privacy shutter or privacy filter. It's not going to be a big issue for most of us. It comes with 2 USB Type-C ports, and one of them, as I mentioned earlier, is a Thunderbolt 4 port, which supports power delivery, and you can also charge in addition to the dedicated AC adapter, which you are going to need if you're going to be playing games because it is going to consume a lot of power. You also get 2 USB Type-A ports, one over here and one on the other side. There's also a full HDMI port over here, as well as a wired network port for those of you where the network speeds are going to be critical. You want to get the fastest connectivity that you can from your network, then this is definitely the way to go. How would we improve the M16? It could be a lot cooler. I'm holding it with the palm of my hand and I can still feel the heat coming from the backside. I would want a full-size keyboard. I would want a physical privacy filter for the built-in web camera. But other than that, all things being considered, it's a very, very solid and well-polished and well-made product from Asus ROG. It also comes with a very good quality bag and mouse as a freebie, which is just the icing on the cake. Despite being slightly more expensive, which is what you're going to need to invest in that additional level of portability, which you're not going to get from other machines. For the price, you're also getting that additional push for better performance and a much better display. It's glorious. Do you agree or disagree with anything that we've said? Do you have any questions about the Zephyrus M16? What are the features that you look for in a mobile gaming machine? And what do you think about the price? Is under 29K a good enough deal for you for a RTX 30 series laptop in 2020 or 2021? Let us know in the comment section below. We're looking forward to hearing from you. This has been Kuya Den, signing off. Paalam.